Hello and welcome to another episode of Four Tims in a Podcast. It's been a few days since absolutely ridiculous capitulation in Austria from Celtic. There's been a hell of a lot of fallout. I'm sure everybody's aware. We've had a lot of comments. I think we had about 3 for Celtic fans and about 1,690 for the Four Tims Rangers Supporters Club. But it's been a bad few days. There's no getting away from it. And I think it's put a major kind of, I don't know the word for it. It could derail the season. I know that's very dramatic, but that's how it's kind of felt. So we thought me and Andy would get together just for a kind of quick chat of a more positive, maybe, I guess, how the season can still kind of get back on track quickly. Now, I must caveat that by saying I don't think the board will do anything that I'm about to say. But I think this is what they should do in order to get the fans on side again as quickly as possible. Number one, they should still be trying to sign the targets that they had earmarked. There's this kind of thing going round that apparently after we qualify for Champions League games that we go out and spend loads of money, and it's made up. It's not true that when we get through qualifiers, not that we do it very often, that we've then went out and spend loads of money. Darren actually was kind enough to send us some of the transfer dealings we've done in the past after qualifying, and it's buttons. So just remember that if that's the excuse they come out with, they're talking shit, whether that be the manager or somebody at the board come the AGM. So they should still be trying to get Mamic, Janidis and Segur. If that's the targets that we're all agreed to come, I don't believe any of them are playing at Champions League clubs just now. I don't think any of them are rumoured to go to clubs in the Champions League. So there's no reason why we shouldn't still be offering these guys the same contracts, paying the same fees and pushing the boat out a bit, because we don't always need to be in profit for a window. That's not how it works. So I think if you were to go out and get the 3 and go, look, we apologise for the disaster in the Champions League. We want to have a really good European campaign. We think the Europa League's an opportunity for that. We're still going to back our manager. We're going to stand by him, and here's the other players we've signed. I think you would very quickly get fans on side with that. And I think you would then look at potentially selling out the Europa League package. They're not far off it, because then people go, oh well, they're actually going to make an effort to go far in this competition and maybe finally win a knockout tie. So I think that's what they should do to kind of stop the chaos, because see, a lot of people are already looking at let's boycott the Europa, and I totally understand that. As I've said before, I'll not be back to Celtic Park until Desmond sells or isn't with us anymore. Either or will do for my return. So I can totally understand people not wanting to give them another dime after that the other day. But I think that's a way they can go about fixing it. Another way they could go about getting fans on side, sack Michael Nicholson. Dead easy. Michael, you're tasked with getting Celtic into Champions League. You're the CEO. 2 seasons in a row, 80 million up in flames because you've not managed to get deals done quick enough. You're out in your ass. That would definitely get fans on side. I know Desmond's the main issue. We all know that, him and his son. But if you want a sacrificial lamb, there's nobody going to be going, oh no, Michael. Well, maybe one person going, oh no, there's Michael away. But apart from that, I think everybody would be glad to see Michael Nicholson booted out the door, never to return. So that's another way to get fans back on side. Capping the Europa prices at the lowest ever, just to kind of go, look, we apologise, last few seasons haven't been great. Here's a goodwill gesture. We've got all this money in the bank. We're going to make this really affordable for people, or we're even going to give you the first game free. Now, as I says at the start of this kind of rant, I know they're not going to do this, because as I've said a million times before, they fucking hate us. But this is just me saying what I think they should do. And before people start, no, I've never run a football club, but I would fucking back myself against Michael Nicholson to run this football club a bit better than it has been run. So there are a couple of things I think they could do just to make the fans relax a bit, because I think people are ready to just go nuts again. I totally get it. I'm not as kind of angry as I was last season. I think there's a part of me going, you can't be that surprised. I mean, we're run by a fucking gang of dickheads, you know what I mean? So it's not as if I'm sitting here going, wow, this is a total surprise that this has happened with Martin O'Neill in charge, who's well into his 70s. And I mean, if you want to be really harsh, Sean Maloney not really done much in management. And I have keep praising these guys for helping us over the line in the SPFL and the Scottish Cup, but I think it just showed what a difference in Europe. And I've said before as well, if you want to blame O'Neill, yeah, definitely blame him. But who put them in charge? The board. So everything falls back to them as far as I'm concerned. But I still think they can save the season if they still sign some right quality and have a proper go at the Europa League. I think they'll get fans on side quickly. And as I said before in the build-up to this Champions League qualifier, nobody wants to protest like that. And if you listen to any of the episodes after the recent wins, we've been delighted not to be moaning and groaning, but when the club's failing continually, you would be a shite supporter not to criticise them. It isn't a cult. I know some people think it is, but it really isn't. That there has to be room to go. Michael Nicholson's an arsehole and needs removed. Like there's definitely space for that. So Andy, I don't know what you think of that. I think that's how they go about calming everything down. And I'll hold my hands up. I can't be asked coming on here every week. Desmond's a dick. Nicholson's a dick. Let's boycott this. Let's boycott that. I would rather go. There they go. They've actually had a go at Europa. They fucked the Champions League, still need removed. But you would be able to calm down if they went and signed some right quality and says, right, now we've got a chance of a proper domestic season and a really good Europa campaign.
Aye, absolutely. I mean, even but what you said at the end there, I think that can't be asked. Just anger is sort of sat with me that long. You're the same, that it just turns to other emotions at this point, whether it's apathy or whatever else it might be. And I think that's the same for a lot of people. Like, see, even with the Champions League, and it's always been the case. Like football's football. Sometimes you're going to win games, sometimes you're going to lose games. That's the nature of the beast. That's why sometimes you get papped out of the cup half a Clyde and shite like that. That's what happens, right? But it's the fact that we're continually so underprepared. And see, even what you said there, if we went out and we made an attempt and we brought players in and then we just get beat, that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. But it's that lack of attempt. But I think you're spot on. I mean, with them, the new, like Celtic are a reactionary football club. The people that run the club are reactionary. It's the way they behave. It's the mentality they have. The only way that changes is if the people within the club are removed. So I totally agree with you that, listen, they're not going to change anything off the back of us two talking shit in a podcast. That's not what we're saying. But they're not going to change how they behave. They're not going to change the way they act when these results happen because they're not inclined to. They either don't know how to or they don't want to, don't really know what's the worst of the two options in that scenario. You're spot on. The target should be the target. Champions League money shouldn't really dictate that, particularly when we've been sat so flush the last few years, when we're still sat in assets, to be totally honest with you. You've still got, obviously he's injured now, but you've still got Alistair Johnston, sellable asset. You've still got Benjamin Negron, sellable asset. There's plenty within that team who we all know we're going to sell again. We all know we're going to move on for money. So I don't buy this constantly need to fucking make X amount of profit every single year. And the Europa League itself, listen, you're not going to reach the riches of the Champions League. That's a given. But again, the club need to look at, right, what can be achieved here. Nobody's saying we're going to win it, but fuck me, give it a go. Get yourself into the latter. Get first of all, get out of the league phase, right? Again, if you can't, the higher you finish up in that league phase, obviously you get money for every win, every draw, right? So you're aiming to win every game straight away because you're aiming to get the money out of that. And I'm talking a purely business sense here for these guys because that's what they seem to want to talk about is money. They want to win as many games as possible. And coupled with that, the higher up you finish in the league phase, you get more money. So, and again, when you get into the top eight, is more money than the teams that finish below that, but still qualify going to that playoff round. And on top of that, the team that finished first and second, they also get more money. Straight away, you should be looking to maximise that. How do you do that? You win fucking football games. How do you do that? You put better players out on the pitch. Simple as that. It doesn't get any more complicated than that. So the target should be the targets. Like, I can't understand. It's not as if we were looking, we were going to spend 100 million if we were in the Champions League. Nobody was expecting that. Nobody's anticipating that. Nobody's wanting that. But like the fees that have been branded about, nothing's mental. Nothing's astronomical. Nothing is thinking, fuck me, we'll never get that back. You just operate the way every other fucking team with a bit of ambition operates. And I totally agree. Like, if you get these guys in, listen, you're not gonna then have fans saying, fuck me, keep the board and all the rest of it. But you're buying yourself a bit of good grace. You're affording the opportunity for fans to get on side and say, do you know what, maybe they have recognised that they made a cunt of it and they're not going to just react the same way, because we all know how this story goes. Like, the amount of times this has happened in the past, you get fucked out of Champions League, you fall into Europa League, we all get a wee bit, do you know what, maybe we can make a run, maybe we can, I don't know, get to a latter stage, maybe we can get a luck of the draw and all the rest of it, and we'll have a okay league phase, we'll get through, we'll have a time, we'll go, I don't know who it'll be against, I don't know, a club of a Midtjylland ilk, somebody like that, and we'll think, fuck me, here we go, we might actually win a qualifier here. And then we'll get fucked out, because that's the way we operate. A no qualifier, rather a knockout tie. A qualifier and off it, we get knocked out of both. We don't know how to win ties when it's fucking a two-legged affair and you need to get through. But that's what happens. And again, like, people are so conditioned now because we've not seen anything to prove that the opposite might ring true. And I mean, you seen it at the start of the season when we went out and we brought in Casper Ho and we brought in Duran. Look, you get that excitement in you. You want to fuck him. I actually want to go and see these new players. I want to see them play. And listen, that's been through my whole Celtic going life. I've been gone since I was like 4 year old. And even when we had brilliant players in the team, whether it was the sort of Larson sort of generation of players or beyond that, and you look at sort of top players like when we had Nakamura and stuff like that, like every transfer window is still exciting. And that's not just a Celtic thing, that's just a football thing. Like there'll be Real Madrid and Barcelona fans sitting there now excited when a player comes in because it's a new player, it's a chance for the team to improve and build upon, and like that's completely natural. Like the fans want to see that. We want to see players coming in, and nobody's asking that you fucking risk the viability of the football club. But we can all see glaring gaps in the team. We can all see it. The team is the squad is still a fucking mess. We've not replaced players. We're still arguably in a weaker place than we were 18 months ago, like in terms of squad depth. So straight away, I totally agree with you. I've went off on a fucking mad mental tangent there, but that's just what happens any time I think about these cunts. But like, it would buy everybody just some positivity. Because I'm sure everybody listening to this, you, me, like, I'm so sick of this cycle. You get an okay start, you get a qualifier, and you get fucked out, and then you're sort of preparing yourself fucking mentally to go into Europa League and all that shit because it's difficult to get yourself constantly up for it. Get so much expectation behind the team, and then they just make a total cunt of it again, and we all seen it coming. So I think it's gone and targets no changing, and targets going and being brought in is it's the easiest way for them to do anything positive. It's the easiest way to ensure that fans don't start kicking off again. It's the easiest way to ensure that we're not talking about I'm not got Europa League, I'm not paying the money, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. It's such a tap-in. It really is a tap-in. And again, I don't buy the whole players don't want to come to Europa League. Well, why are the players that we're linked to now talking potentially going to clubs who aren't even in the Champions League? It's bullshit excuses. It's just nonsense. It's nonsense because they don't want to spend the money. Likely because Desmond's telling them no. So I totally agree there, Tony. Secondary to that, I think the Europa League is the whole ticketing thing at Celtic's a fucking shambles. It has been for long enough. I mean, we've been going long enough. We'll remember that the season ticket used to be much more valuable than it is now in terms of you used to get more for your money. Continually, prices have went up and up and up and up and up, and they're taking games away. Now, whether that was a free friendly or a free qualifier, whatever it might be, that gesture is gone now. All you get is your home league games. That's your fucking whack. And the cost has just went up and up and up. And Celtic are continually what I talk about. It's a harder landscape for them and the way the world and you told people talking about the news money, but it's more costly for them as well. But I think they seem to forget that's the same case for the cunts that pay to go every week. That's the same for the families that are taking their wains, for the next generation that are coming through, for everything. Like that price is going up for everybody. And they're at this point that they would rather, just talking about like the friendlies and stuff like that, they would rather basically they can't turn up to Parkhead than give us a free game. That's where they're at. That's how they're operating at the minute. So I don't think there's any fucking chance of them doing it. But I totally agree with you in terms of the Europa League package should be reasonably priced. It should not be anywhere near what the Champions League was going to be. And it's their own argument. Like, if they want to argue about the riches of the Champions League and the finances of the Champions League, well, okay, I'll appreciate that. I'll take that on board. That should reflect in the price then, because let's be honest, they were going to fucking Roger every one is for a Champions League package because they know it sells out regardless. The alternative to that is Europa League. If they want to use that excuse as to why they can't spend money anymore and they can't go for the same targets and things need to change because they're not in the Premier competition, well, guess what? You should be pricing it as such in that case. And like you say, people are conscious with that with money now, and they have to be. It's the world we're in, and people are going to be less likely to want to part with their cash to go to Europa League to watch some fucking Azerbaijani mob come to Parkhead and probably play us half the park at times. And I can understand that for some people. It really should be priced accordingly. Again, like you would rather Celtic just they have to look so much further than individual games. Say you want to charge whatever 30 quid for a ticket, but they would rather charge 46. You're going to sell what 40,000 at 46, or you could sell it out at 30. And again, it's beyond that. You've got more chance of a result at 30. So again, there's the finance that you get for winning a game, and that contributes to the wider picture. I fucking potentially try to get through. And again, it's like success being success. Like winning football games is the most important thing, and it always has to be about the future. It always has to be about looking forward. And we need to start getting a mentality about us that we're capable of winning games of football in Europe. I think it is gone. I mean, we all know the Fortress Parkhead and all that shit is gone, and I think it's down to a lot of factors. I'm not saying ticket prices are what's caused that. That's not what I'm saying, but us not being a fear factor for teams coming to Parkhead anymore, it contributes to that. And what I'm trying to say is, see, when we're going to draw against some shite in this Europa League, right? That's the nature of the beast. But what contributes to us not being such a sure thing to win those games is Parkhead's eye empty and eye quiet for these games. We need to start trying to combat that, and part of that comes down to ticket prices, in my view. And again, it's just buying goodwill for fans. It's trying to put a fucking bit of good feeling about people, because straight away, as you said earlier, Tony, like, you're thinking the worst. You're thinking, fuck me, this season could really look the wheels could fall off the cart here, because I've said it enough games at the start of this season, let alone last season, like, defensively, we're fucking horrendous. We can't defend worth a fuck. We give up some amount of chances. The expected goals spoke for themselves against Last Clins, but really, the squad's not in any sort of place that we are a sure thing to win anything this season. Teams really are probably looking at us thinking, fuck me, they can be got at. And unless there's signings made and there's a bit of good feeling about the club again, it's not beyond the realms of possibility that happens. And I think they can't afford to have what happened last season happen again. And I think signings, ticket prices, I mean, it goes beyond that as well. Like, fan engagement is something we've been banging the drum for long enough, and they come up with just the most nonsense of, I don't even know what you would call it at this point, like when you talk about like the Celtic Connect idea. Like, fans feel so disconnected to the club, so they come up with an idea that essentially you can have we'll throw you a wee bone 2-3 times a season, we'll pick who's in the room and we'll chuck an Excel who'll fucking no doubt be a Neil Lennon or fucking Tom Boyd or something, and who'll come into the room and bat in our corner as well. Like, it's just nonsense strategies. Straight away they should be fucking kitty-boshing that. Like, if they want another solution as to what today is, get that to fuck. Look around the world at the proper fan forums and fan boards that are out there, and take one of them on board and show a bit of transparency and get people in the room and explain what's going on and talk about it and be open, as opposed to this insular model that we operate on, where we know best, use no fuck all, give your money and shut the fuck up. Like, that's the way that they operate. And it's just that there's so many opportunities for the club to go and show that things are different, show that things have changed, show that this result was okay, it was just an exception. But I don't see him doing that, Tony. But I've rambled on well there, and I've went off in wild tangents. But I totally agree with you. I think in terms of do anything positive, try and build that bridge, or try and sort of repair. And already, listen, it was already well beyond fractured. Some would say it's beyond healing at this stage of the relationship between fans and board. But they need to do something, and they need to do it quickly, because, as I say, this season is in danger of completely derailing. I don't think that's too far fetched to see, because, like, the team's out in its arse as it is. You're only 1 or 2 injuries away from a proper disaster, and you get into another season where a week inside, and listen, see, if you're not going to spend the money, you're going to need the fans on board. You've seen what that done last season, and I mean, that was midway through and towards the end it really picked up. But can you afford another season where there's that sort of that tension? Do you really believe that it's going to sort of fall in your favour again? Is the luck finally running out? And if you don't have, as I say, if you're not going to properly reinforce the team, you're going to need fans on board. And I think, as you say, signing players, if you're not going to do that, it has to be done to engagement and ticket prices, and actually showing fans that you're trying.
Well, never mind the season derailing. The season's actually finished. The amount of time you spent ranting. I thought I could rant. Jesus Christ, that was good. I enjoyed that. No, I agree with everything you're saying. I think that the season is in danger if they don't make a move to kind of get these guys in, because they did seem like exciting acquisitions, the likes of Mamic, Janidis, Nico Seegers. So I got a text there. Finally, we're recording. Apparently, they'll only sign Mamic if they sell Hitati. So it does feel very much like a one in, one out kind of policy, which is just shite, just really, really bad. Like, surely they should just have fucking sign Mamic before they get rid of Hitati and had him in for this game. Like, we get beat by 1 goal, albeit get absolutely hammered on the night, but maybe if you had Mamic the week before, you win 4-0 instead of 5-0, you know what I mean? There was definitely opportunities there. What I can't understand is some of your fans, because I've had a wee look in social media just to see what people are saying, and we seem to have this sections of fans who kind of, whenever anybody criticises a board, they would jump in front of trains for them. And it's this, we're not a Champions League club. And then I look at some of the clubs that are in the Champions League this season. Viking, Saba, who I'd never fucking heard of in my life. Bodo Glimt, again, very successful getting in. So apparently these clubs, Last Glance, no fucking harm to them because they're 100 times better than us. These clubs aren't as big as us in terms of history and name. In terms of how they're run, they're a million times better than us, clearly. But I don't buy this, that the CEOs saying we want to be world class in everything we do, but then we just go, Champions League's a step too far. Now, that's just nonsense. Now, in terms of would we be able to get into the Champions League and compete with the big boys? No. But the way these people frame the argument to defend the board is they pretend that there's no shite teams in the Champions League, which isn't true. There's a lot of teams in there that we can take points off. We could be a Champions League club if we weren't so diabolical at qualifiers. So I don't take that argument at all. I think it's embarrassing, and there is some element to our support, and I know I've spoke about it before, where I look at them and go, Jesus Christ, imagine sitting next to you at a game. Your horns must be in agony for all the happy clapping. Some of these cunts are on a different level of just defending the board and Desmond, and I'm going, why would you ever just take bullets for guys that are continually failing the club? It's fucking insane to me. Also seen the story John McGinn basically says that Hibs wanted 2 or 3 million for them, and as opposed to us offering that money and saying thanks Hibs, that would be great, we phoned these granda to try and influence a deal. I'd love to know who the CEO was at that point.
Show a bit of respect.
Oh yes, a total wanker.
We'll behave.
As you might have seen from my tweet for the 4Tims account, every few months I'll sign into Pod Tims and just decide to fucking swing at somebody. So Peter Lawwell, cunt. So I just thought that was embarrassing as well. I thought it was good timing by Sky Sports just to stick the boot into us to remind us how fucking dreadful we are. But I don't really have much else to say. I think we've both covered a lot. Basically, this is my kind of final thoughts. I don't want chaos. I want them to sign over the next few days some right good players, get the atmosphere going again, get everybody back inside. Let's have a run at the Europa League. But if they don't and they fuck about and it's loans on we can't get this done, couldn't get that done, it's a hard time in the window, nobody wants to sell, they can go and take a flying fuck to themselves, and I hope the protests are loud and clear. And of course, I hope that they are always peaceful. Thanks very much for tuning in to 4Tims in a podcast. We'll be back to review Falkirk. The Europa League draws tomorrow. Woohoo. We'll see who we get. Cheers.